Am I the a-hole for kicking my brother out after what he did to my dog? I, 27F, have an older brother, Jake, 30M, who has always been the golden child in my parents' eyes. He's never been able to hold down a steady job, jumps from one failed business idea to another, and constantly relies on my parents to bail him out. I, on the other hand, worked hard to be independent. I put myself through college, built my career, and even bought my own house. I've spent years being the responsible one while Jake got excuse after excuse for his behavior. A few months ago, Jake lost his apartment, again, after failing to pay rent. My parents, like always, refused to let him face any real consequences and begged me to take him in for just a few weeks while he got back on his feet. I wasn't thrilled about it. I've never been particularly close to Jake, and I had one major concern: my dog, Bailey. Bailey is my golden retriever and my world. I rescued her as a puppy, and she's been my rock through some of the hardest times in my life. She's incredibly sweet and well-trained, but she hates yelling. I made it very clear to Jake that I wouldn't tolerate him raising his voice in the house, especially at Bailey. He rolled his eyes and promised to behave. At first, things were okay. He mostly kept to himself, though he made snide comments about how I babied my dog too much. He'd mock me when I talked to her or when I let her sleep on the couch. I ignored it, but soon I noticed a change in Bailey. She started acting anxious when Jake was around. If she saw him enter a room, she'd immediately leave. She stopped wagging her tail when I got home, and instead, she'd just lay in her bed, barely lifting her head. The worst part? She stopped eating when he was home. I knew something was wrong. Then one day, I came home early from work and heard Jake screaming. I rushed inside and found him towering over Bailey, yelling at her, calling her a useless mutt. Bailey was cowering in the corner, trembling. I lost it. I screamed at him to stop and asked him what the hell he was doing. He laughed. "She's being dramatic," he said. "I was just teaching her some discipline." I was shaking with rage. I told him to pack his things and get the hell out of my house immediately. He acted like I was crazy. "You're really kicking me out over a dog?" I told him. "No, I'm kicking you out because you're a disgusting excuse for a human being who thinks it's okay to terrorize an innocent animal." He scoffed and called my parents. Within minutes, my phone was blowing up with calls from them, demanding that I be reasonable and let him stay. Family comes first. I shot back. "If family comes first, why didn't you take him in?" Silence. Then the guilt tripping started. My mom said I was choosing an animal over my own brother, and that I should have just talked to him instead of throwing my own blood out on the street. I told them that Bailey is family too, and that anyone who mistreats her is dead to me. Jake left that night, slamming the door behind him. My parents are still furious and have been calling me heartless ever since. But Bailey? That night, for the first time in weeks, she ate her food without hesitation and curled up next to me like she used to. So tell me, am I the a-hole for choosing my dog over my brother?